and welcome to the Afterwork session. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Fantastic, fantastic.
But you're disappearing behind your You're disappearing behind your virtual bug. It's okay now.
I think it's when I move around, so I'm just going to try and be as still as possible, but at the same time, let the light shine through my eyes, blocked by glasses, obviously. So good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Afterwork session. I will be the moderator for today. And I really, really hope that everyone present has a very, very good time during this meeting. Now, please, these sessions are to, should I say, share insightful aspects of Toastmasters and public speaking. So I would urge everyone on this call or everyone in this Zoom meeting to please share with their networks and every other person they feel that would benefit from these sessions. Now, without further ado, I also have to mention that there is the option for the English, or rather the French-speaking people that have joined, Toastmasters that have joined, or members or interested participants, there is the option to translate into English. So please just click at the bottom of your screen. There's that option to switch over to translated to the English. So please take advantage of that option. Now, I would like to introduce the trainer for today and just a little bit about his background. Now, the trainer is Toastmaster Omobolarinwa Jagun, who is a curious individual who currently makes a living as a digital product designer. He currently gets lost in the rabbit hole of seemingly mundane literature. He is the IPP of Surulere Toastmasters Club. Now, he is going to give a presentation on effective visual aids. Funny story, it took me 1 whole year to give my presentation on visual aids. I just felt like it was such a difficult topic to grasp. When I speak with my hands, I speak with my eyes, my body language, my voice, but visual aids always seemed to, it was so insurmountable. So it took me 1 whole year. So I will definitely be paying attention to his presentation, and I hope that we all will learn something from it. And for those of us who are delaying on giving any of our
Hi, good evening, everyone. Sorry, I think we just lost our moderator, Dara. Dara was about introducing our presenter for today. We will ride on to handing over the rostrum to our presenter, who is Omobolarinwa Jagun, for his presentation. Please join me in welcoming him. Omobolarinwa, you can go ahead. While Omobolarinwa is preparing to come up, please be reminded that you can prepare your questions. Dara, you can take over now.
This is incredible. I seem to be having a lot of technical difficulties, and that is extremely strange. I remember the last thing I said was that I welcomed Tim Omobolarinwa to the virtual, as we say, the virtual lectern to give his presentation.
Thank you, Toastmaster Dara. Please confirm that you can hear me clearly.
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, good evening, Toastmaster Dara, fellow Toastmasters, and our guests. Let me start by saying it is an honor to be presenting an after-work session in District 130. I will be sharing my screen. Please let me know when you can see my screen.
Okay. Yes.
Okay, thank you. So good evening once again, fellow Toastmasters and guests. And the training I'll be running us through this evening is using visual aids to enhance your message. Using visual aids to enhance your message.
Je peux pas mettre ça dans les toilettes, c'est pas mieux?
Effective communication is the foundation for personal success. It helps us build healthy relationships. It helps us organize as societies, as families, and it helps us come together and make progress as a people and a society. A picture is worth 1,000 words. And what this statement is basically trying to say is that pictures can communicate in a way that words cannot. A picture is worth 1,000 words. Pictures can communicate at a depth that words alone, verbal communication alone cannot. Images help us capture attention instantly or faster. Images are more memorable. Images are easier to remember. Images make presentations more engaging, more memorable. And as such, it is very important that when we make or when we give presentations, we bring in imagery, visual aids to help us communicate our message and make sure that the goal of effective communication is actually achieved. Over the course of the next few minutes, I'll be taking us through the types of visual aids, applying visual aids, mistakes made when using visual aids, resources to help us apply effective visual aids, and we will conclude and take questions. The first type of visual aid I would like to speak about this evening is presentation software. That is PowerPoint, Keynote, slides. It is exactly what I am using right now to deliver this presentation. It has become, in this technocentric world of ours, presentation software, slides have become very, very important in delivering presentations. And that's just because slides help us share complex information. Slides allow you to put in a lot of different range and complexities of information into one presentation. You can put in images, photographs, complicated graphics, charts, graphs, and even texts. And slides are quite versatile because they can be used with audiences of any kind. Whether you are speaking to an audience of 5, an audience of 50, an audience of 100, slides help you make sure that slides help you make sure that the goal of effective communication is actually established and communicated. And at this point, let me just add a few tips for using slides. It is very important that when we use slides, we keep it very simple. I'm going to talk about this later in the mistakes, but it is quite common to see people pack slides with a lot of information, who pack slides with a lot of information and even overwhelm their audience, which is not what visual aids are supposed to do. Visual aids are supposed to make sure that your message is passed easily and that your message flows with your audience. And it's very important that when we use slides, we do not read verbatim. Slides exist for the members of the audience to follow through with your presentation, as all visual aids do. So it is very important that you look at your audience, you face your audience, and not read verbatim from slides. The next category of visual aids I'm speaking about is infographics. Can you look at this imagery to the right side of the screen? This is an infographic that shows Toastmasters International logo in the center with qualities and characteristics all around, presenting this information in bite-sized, easy to understand format. Around Toastmasters, we have resources and experts, top-tier benefits, connections and social capital, power to influence, global visibility, common vision, credibility, and application. What infographics do is help you simplify complex data and make sure that your data can be communicated visually at a glance. Infographics help to enhance visual appeal and engagement and makes information digestible and memorable. The next type of visual aid is whiteboards. So on my slide here, you can see I said large working area. We can have, so whiteboards are easy to use and they are particularly important or very particularly useful when, as a trainer or as a speaker or a presenter, you track input from your to create a collaborative environment. You want to create a collaborative environment where you are interacting with your audience and the audience is interacting with you back. Whiteboards are more useful with smaller to medium sizes of audiences. But it is important to note that in this technocentric world of ours, whiteboards have started to or are now transcend the physical space, and there are virtual whiteboards that allow a bunch of people collaborate even on meeting softwares like Zoom. So whiteboards are quite very useful when you need to track input and are good for collaborative sessions or presentations. The next category or the next type of visual aids is props and physical objects. There is a common saying that says your stage is a prop. And I have seen presenters, I've seen speakers, even the international speech contest, use their stage as a prop. It is very important that when you are using props and physical audience, that your props are relevant to what you are presenting and they do not distract from the message of your presentation. Props exist or should exist to help you focus attention on your topic, and they should be relevant to your speech. Your props should be available at the right time in your presentation where you are saying something relevant to the prop, and props should be visible to everyone in the audience. So it is very important when we use visual aids to make sure that our visual aids are accessible. And part of being accessible when we're talking about props and physical objects is that your props should be visible to the entire audience so that your goal of communication is achieved. The next type of visual aid I am presenting about is videos and multimedia. We've seen, if you are a technology enthusiast, you see the annual or the feature launching events by companies like Apple, Google, Samsung. And what they try to do, they use a lot of videos and multimedia where they are trying to use storytelling to communicate with the audience. They create videos and demos. Of whatever feature or whatever products that they are launching so that they can build an emotional connection with the audience. Videos are very important because videos help build an emotional connection between the presenter and the audience. And videos can work with any size of audience. Videos are quite versatile also. You can use a video in a presentation with 5, 10, 15 even 1,000 people. In this age of technology, presentations are done virtually, and a common way to enhance these presentations is through the use of video and multimedia tools. A lot of these technology brands stream these videos and create stories around the video to create an emotional connection with their audiences. And this helps. So in this instance, they create emotional connections so that their audiences can buy from them. So videos are a very useful visual aid that help with storytelling, and particularly when you're trying to build an emotional connection. The next type of visual aid I'm speaking about is handouts. And what handouts typically do is give your audience something to take home with them after the presentation. It is a conscious or a continuous reminder of the message you have tried to pass. And handouts can be effective with varying sizes of audience. So it can be very useful when you use handouts when you are communicating a lot of complex information in a short amount of time. So what handouts do is that it is like a souvenir or a memento that your audience can take home with them and use it to remember the essence of your message. And the next or the final visual aid I'd like to inform us about is posters. And what posters do is posters help us to visually communicate ideas at a glance. Posters are usually more useful with smaller audience, and posters just allow us share a small amount or a limited amount of visual information that allows our audience hold on to and flow or carry on with our message. So these visual aids, depending on what kind of presentation you are giving, whether you want inputs from your audience, or not, the size of your audience, it is very important to pick visual aids that will serve your message and will make and will reinforce your message. So at this point, I have a little quiz for us. And what we'll be doing is I will present a few scenarios, two scenarios actually. And I would like to have an interaction with members of the audience. What kind of visual aids you think will be appropriate in this scenario? So, and the first scenario is Anita's speech is about a job as a marketing coordinator. She has many different types of information, pictures, statistics, graphs, and she has an audience of 48 people. What do you think the best visual aid for Anita to use is? At this point, if you'd like to speak, you can unmute your microphone, your answer, and why. So what is the best visual aid for Anita to use and why?
Seems like we have some.
Would you like to speak? Can you hear me?
Okay,
Toastmaster
I will
Nicole,
go.
please go
I
ahead.
will go. Yes, yes. Good evening. I will go for it. Anita, we use software presentations because I think she has a lot of information to share, statistics, pictures, graphs, and also because yes, information is a little bit complex and it's important for people to see it, to read it. And also there's a large number of people, so everybody can have a look at it.
Thank you, Toastmaster Nicole. Fantastic answer. Does anyone have a contrary opinion? I would say there's no wrong answer. If you think another visual aid would serve Anita's course? Please let us know. Okay, let's move on to the next scenario. So Kevin, a corporate trainer, is preparing to lead a collaborative team building workshop for a diverse group of employees from different departments, totaling about 15 people. The best visual aid for Kevin to use is, so same thing, please, if you want to speak, you can kindly unmute and speak.
Good evening. If I were in
Good evening.
Kevin's shoes, I will use a mixture of both. That is, I will use slides and handouts. Slides will be used when I'll be in the presentation, in-person presentation, and then I will give them handouts to let them keep some key information or key points, given that the number of people are not like quite great. There are just 15 of them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Please, I'm not sure who spoke. Please, who
It's
spoke so I
Frank.
can recognize you?
Frank Zonga.
Fram Zonga. Thank you, Toastmaster Fram Zonga. So, does anyone have any other opinion? What visual aid will best help Kevin? Will best serve Kevin? Toastmaster Nicole, would you like to share your reasons for saying poster?
Okay, because there is a workshop from different department, and with the poster, Kevin. Oh, sorry. Kevin will in fact can share significant information because there are different groups, and then the poster can be, I mean, yes, for me, a good tool, yes, to share different information among the different groups. Yeah, it is large enough, and you can have it in the room and visible, and very good for team building.
Okay, thank you, Toastmaster Nicole. I think I agree with you also. But the poster also has limitations. For a poster, you can only share a limited amount of visual information. But I agree that the poster could work. So does anyone else have another opinion? Okay, so okay, let me share my own opinion. Since Kevin is trying to lead a collaborative workshop, and that means he wants inputs from the members of the team or from the participants of the training. I would say a fantastic visual aid for Kevin to use is whiteboards. So whether it's the physical whiteboard where you bring people together in a room and just track audience inputs, or even a digital one where people can collaborate and share ideas. I think a whiteboard might be one of the best visual aids for Kevin to use. To enhance his presentation. So moving on. Applying effective visual aids. It is very important to note that visual aids should be supplementary, not necessary. And what does that mean? Visual aids should not be your message. Your visual aids should only exist to complement your message or your presentation. So you should be able to still give your presentation if the visual aids did not exist. But visual aids are not a necessary. So they are not something that are a necessity. They are visual aids are something, they are tools to complement your presentation. They should not replace preparation or practice. Visual aids should only complement the message you are trying to pass. And I have a few tips on applying visual aids. And the first is clarity and simplicity. It is very important for visual aids to be clear and simple. It is important to avoid clutter. What you are trying to achieve by using visual aids is to communicate effectively and give your audience something to hang on to as you move along in your speech. So visual aids should not be cluttered. They should be clear and simple and focus on the key message of your or key messages of your presentation. And visual aids should help you break down data into manageable and necessary pieces. The next tip in applying visual aid is that there should be consistency in design. So it is important when you use visual aids, particularly things like slides, that you maintain the same color schemes, you maintain the same fonts, so that you have a cohesive look overall, and so that your visual aids are not all over the place or conflicting, so that whenever someone sees your visual aids, it feels like there's an aha moment that this just goes so well with the rest of your presentation. The third tip is that visual aids should be relevant to the content of the presentation. Your visuals, whatever aid you have decided to choose, must and should be relevant to the content of your speech. And these visuals should be provided at the relevant or appropriate points. So what you are saying should tally with the visual aid you are presenting at that point in your speech. So it is important, for example, if you are using slides, let the slide on display tally with what you are saying. If you are presenting graphs, or you are presenting charts, let your charts and graphs tally with what the message you are communicating at that particular point in your presentation. And before we go, I'd like to talk about a few common mistakes to avoid when using visual aid. And the first here is simply overloading slides with text. I believe I mentioned that earlier. When we are using presentation slides, which is probably one of the most common, if not the most common visual aid that we tend to use in our presentations, it is important not to overload your slides with texts. At most, your slides should have a message and a few bullet points to follow through with the message, to pass the message. It is very important not to overload slides with text so that you don't overload your audience and maybe even confuse them. The second common mistake to avoid when using visual aids is to avoid using distracting animation. Particularly when it is common to see people use slides and add some sort of animation or interactions to increase audience engagement and make the presentation memorable. While that can work, it is important to avoid distracting your audience with over-the-top animations or media. The next common mistake to avoid is ignoring accessibility considerations. And in this context, when I talk about accessibility, I am speaking from something as little as text. Make sure your font sizes are large enough that your audience can see them. Make sure that the colors you use for your texts are very visible. And also when you use things like visual things like physical props, whiteboards, make sure that the members of your audience, the people you are presenting to and are carrying along can see your visual aid and can relate with it. So that is one aspect of accessibility that I think is not commonly reinforced. Make sure that, so when you are using physical props, make sure you are positioned in such a way that your audience can actually, or all the members of your audience can actually see your props, your physical aids. And if you are going to be speaking to so large or maybe a kind of audience where you think your visual aid will not be visible to the whole audience, maybe it might be better to remove it completely. And the final common mistake I would want or I would advise us to avoid is reading from slides. It is common to see people present slides and read the content from the slides. I think this mistake goes very well with overloading slides with text, where you have overloaded your slides with a lot of information and you just feel like you have to read to maintain or to make sure that your goal of effective communication is achieved. Tools and resources to help us create effective visual aids. So first, I would let's talk about the software and applications to use. Software like PowerPoint, Google Slides, Keynote, and Canva are software applications that help us create visual aids like slides. So tools like Canva, which have free, so a lot of these tools have free tiers. They allow us create visual aids, create things like posters, create slides that can help us carry our audiences along when we speak. And other resources that I would also recommend we use we can use templates. Many of these software and applications have templates that are already designed and allow us to just plug in our content, and you have a visual aid you can use to reinforce your message. Stock images are also a good resource to use when creating visual images. Stock images are clear, high quality images that can speak where your text or verbal communication might not be able to speak. And in conclusion, let us remember the fact that a picture is worth 1,000 words. Images communicate in a way that verbal communication alone might not be able to. Images are they are more memorable. It is easier for people to remember and recall pictorial information than just text. Slides, infographics, props, handouts, videos, whiteboards, they can be effective visual aids to help us make sure that our messages are communicated effectively and efficiently. And it is important to remember that slides don't, or your visual aids don't replace the essence of your message. Your visual aids only serve to complement your message. So a tip for this is to make sure that your presentation is ready to go even without visual aids. Your presentation is ready to go even without visual aids. And a way to do this is to decide the message you want to pass, create or write your speech and presentation, and after writing your speech, then decide what kind or what type of visual aid would better or would be best to help you communicate or to enhance your message to your audience. And it is important for visual aids to be clear, simple, consistent, and relevant to the topic that is being discussed. So now I would love to take questions. Thank you. So do I
Thank
hand
you.
over back to Toastmaster Dara? Yes, moderator.
Yes. Thank you so much, Tim Omobalariwa. I am not actually surprised that you came up with such an insightful and relevant presentation. I mean, it goes with your bio. Immediate past president of a strong club. I am not surprised. Now, I have a question, and in my introduction, I had mentioned that I have an issue with visual aids. So for a beginner like me, what would you recommend in terms of starting small? Would you recommend infographics, or would you recommend the kind of information I put in the slides, that I have care to the information I put in the slides? Or would you recommend a particular kind of visual aid that I use? What would your suggestion be for beginners like me?
Thank you, Toastmaster Dara. So let me first start by, let me reinforce what I said. I said visual aids should complement, so they are not to replace your presentation. And it is important that when you are choosing visual aids, you consider the message you're passing, the audience. So you need to be aware of the audience, the number of people, so there are visual aids that might not be relatable to every type of audience. So visual aids, so some visual aids, so for example, if you're using a whiteboard is not necessarily the right visual aid to communicate with, say, 1,000 people, because how many inputs do you want to track? So your visual aid needs to go with the goal of your communication. And your content also determines what kind of visual aid you would use. So a good place to start might be, if you're looking for where to start, a good place to start might be slides, because slides are very popular now, and there are a lot of templates out there. If you go on Canva, you find templates. If you go on PowerPoint, go on Google Slides, there are a lot of templates that already exist that have been created to help you pass information visually. So I hope that answers your question.
It does, it does, it does. Another funny story to share. The first time I had to do a presentation for my boss, I'm one of those that I pack everything. When I write so much. He screamed when he saw the presentation. So I think I will not make that mistake again. I will definitely not make that mistake again. And going on to, I will throw it open to the audience if they have any other questions. But I think I have another question, but I'll let the audience ask if they do have questions.
So I think packing your slides with too much information, it's a mistake that a lot of people have made, particularly maybe earlier in your career when you are not, even in school. I mean, in school, we had to do things like projects, seminars, when we had to present. And that was always a common sin, where you have so much information that your slides might even confuse you, presenter.
Honestly, and
Is
I
there
can
any
very much relate to that.
So I think there's a question in the chat. Okay, good presentation. Thank you very kindly. Thank you, Samuel, for your kind remarks. Where can I get free templates for building my story? Most of the powerful templates are not free. Okay. Yeah, so I think I would agree with you that a lot of powerful templates are not free. And that is because people invest time and energy into creating these things. But for some of, even if you go on something like Google Slides, you get pretty good free templates that you can customize to meet your needs. If the visual aid you're trying to create is slides, I think PowerPoint also has some templates, Canva has some, and there are other sites that also have templates that can help you communicate effectively. The one that comes top of my mind, that just comes to mind, is pitch.com. And so I think that particular site is geared towards helping create slides that win business, so to say. So there are a lot of free tools and templates. But if you can go for paid templates, if you feel you've seen particular paid templates that are powerful, you can go for that also. So it's PITCH. They have some free tiers. You create presents, and those presents basically geared towards winning businesses. Okay, I think there's another question in the... What's the difference between visual aids and presentation software? Thank you for that question, Toastmaster Joy. Presentation software are just a type of visual aid. There are a lot of other visual aids you can use. You can use physical props. I mean, there's a popular Toastmaster speech where someone came on stage. I think it was during the International Championship of Public Speaking and came on stage with a cigarette. So there are other visual aids you can use. You can use infographics. You can use whiteboards. Presentation software is only a type of visual aid, and there are other visual aids you can explore as you move forward in your career as a speaker. I hope that answers your question, Toastmaster Joy.
There's another question in the chat in French. Dara, you have it on your WhatsApp.
Toastmaster Dara, you are muted.
Yes, there's another question on the chat box.
Please, your volume is low.
Hello, can everyone hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
And the so it's, I was trying to give my translation, but I'm a bit wary of doing that. Please, a second.
Okay.
So I think
Okay.
Toastmaster
What
Dara,
medium?
you copied that. So the question is, what's the software used for today's presentation? That's the question asked by Marie Asta.
Thank you very much, TM Gaston. Yes. So, TM Omobolarinwa, the question is the the software used for the presentation today. Can you give us that insider information? Trade secrets.
So I actually used So I designed for work. I actually used the design software for this, but it's also something that can be done using Google Slides. I particularly love using Google Slides.
You know, I knew that. Again, I'm not surprised. You give out the air of a very techie person. Maybe it's the glasses, but I wear glasses too, and no. But hopefully with this presentation, the world isn't ready for me at all. I'm coming with a bang. But TM Omobolarinwa, thank you so much for such an insightful presentation and the free tips that you gave us. We appreciate it. It's much appreciated. And I'm sure we're all better for the information and the knowledge that you have imparted to us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Toastmaster Dara. Thank you, District 130, for the invitation.
So the next, okay, I'm not muted. Yes. The next session or the next aspect of this is the presentation of the toast. And that will be given by Toastmaster Hien Armel. Toastmaster Hien Armel is an agricultural economist working in development aid coordination. He's been a member of Toastmasters since September 2019 and is the past president of the Uaga Forum Club. He's the immediate past director of Area 7, now Area 4, and presently he's the program quality assistant for Division B the Builders Division of Burkina Faso. Now, I will invite him to give the toast. Please, Toastmaster Hian Armel, you have the floor.
Merci beaucoup, cher Dara, pour cette belle présentation de ma personne. Cher Toastmaster, je voudrais vous inviter à méditer sur ceci. Avoir une personne qui vous accompagne dans la vie, une personne qui vous tient la main, une personne qui vous conseille à tout moment et aussi une personne qui vous montre le chemin est quelque chose d'important que nous tous, nous avons besoin. Chers amis, nous sommes tous venus à Toastmasters pour grandir et nous avons tous été à un moment donné accompagnés. Aujourd'hui, j'aimerais ensemble que nous puissions célébrer avec la plus grande joie et la plus grande gloire le mentorat. Chers Toastmasters, le mentor, c'est cette personne qui vous a tenu la main quand vous êtes arrivé dans les premiers pas de notre organisation. C'est cette personne qui a su détecter en vous le talent inouï que vous avez. Et c'est cette personne aussi qui a su avoir de la compassion quand vous aviez eu des difficultés. Chers Toastmasters, le mentorat est une mine car elle nous a permis, chacun d'entre nous, de nous construire, de devenir des personnes meilleures et encore d'impacter plus dans nos vies. Vous aurez compris que le mentorat n'est pas une question liée uniquement à Toastmasters, mais c'est une question qui peut s'appliquer à tous les domaines de la vie, que ce soit dans la vie active ou encore dans nos activités professionnelles. Le mentorat est quelque chose d'essentiel pour la construction de l'être. À ce sujet, j'aimerais vous inviter à méditer sur cette citation de Winston Churchill qui disait ceci: « Nous gagnons notre vie par ce que nous obtenons, mais nous faisons notre vie par ce que nous donnons. » À ce titre, le mentorat est une chose très importante dans la construction de l'être, car le mentor, plus que tout, c'est celui qui donne. C'est celui qui donne sans intérêt, mais c'est celui qui donne pour construire l'autre. Chers Toastmasters, j'aimerais tous vous inviter à lever vos verres. Levez vos verres pour célébrer le mentorat, pour célébrer cette pratique qui a permis de construire des milliers de personnes et qui a permis de donner à chacun la fleur, la flamme en lui pour devenir une meilleure version. À nos mentors, au mentorat et à Toastmasters, merci à vous.
À nos mentors, au mentorat et à Toastmasters.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Hian Armel, for that. I echo what you said about mentorship. It's extremely important. And speaking personally, my growth in Toastmasters has only been because of the quality of mentors I have and the fact that Toastmasters is very detailed about providing effective mentorship. So cheers to mentorship. Thank you very much. Now, the next thing I would like us, first of all, I would like to thank everyone that has attended this session. Again, without sounding like a broken record, I reiterate that every single session I've attended has been very beneficial to me. But I'm going to now go on to the announcements and see, which will be shared on the screen very shortly.
They have not started the survey for having problem because they didn't get the right things. That's it. And now people that are telling them to go now.
Please, can you mute your audio if you, thank you. So on the 15th to the 17th of May, 2025, which blink, and we're going to be in 2025 at this rate. October just started. It's almost over now. We're going to have the District 130, the first conference. It's going to be held in Yami. And I would urge everyone that can to attend. I almost want to give a commitment to attend, but then if I do that now, my words will be recorded in posterity. So I will do my best to attend, but I would urge everyone as much as they're able to attend, because these conferences are so vital to both personal, professional, and the Toastmasters growth. You network, you meet people, and there's just this, should I say, camaraderie that is present when you are with a number of Toastmasters from different clubs and different areas. So please, I would urge everyone, if they're able to attend this conference next year and to start making preparations. At least for those of us in Nigeria, we know what is happening with, with our currency and the airfare. So yeah, we definitely have to put that in mind sooner rather than later. Then Toastmasters, join District 130 on all its social media handles at Toastmasters District 130, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, and TikTok. And if you're not a member of any of these ones, you must be a member of one in this digital age. So either all for one or one for all. And I believe that's from the Three Musketeers film, but I digress. Yes, you can follow Toastmasters District 130 on all the social media handles that are mentioned below. Now, you have the public relations coffee time. This is specifically for the vice presidents of public relations of every club. And it's just a training session to get them familiar with Canva as a tool for enabling them to carry out their role more effectively. It's going to hold on the 6th of November, 7 p.m. Wednesday, GMT. I always get GMT confused. So for those of us in Lagos, Nigeria, GMT is +1. Yes, GMT is +1. So please, Vice President of Public Relations, you can join. Pathways Lab, answering all your questions. Get expert guidance, tips, and hands-on support to master the Pathways program. It's every Thursday at 8 p.m. And for every single Toastmaster, I cannot emphasize how important the Pathways program is. It makes it so simple to access all your trainings, all your resources, and just relevant information that would help you grow as a Toastmaster. So I would highly recommend every Thursday at 8 p.m. be there or be square, but don't be a rectangle. Sorry, that's one of my favorite jokes. Thank you very much. That's all the announcements we have for today. Now, the next segment is the networking segment. And there are different breakout rooms, and you can select the ones that you are interested in and join the breakout rooms that you are interested in. But before I hand over for that session, I would urge everyone to please join and just network, meet people. However, I would like to say thank you to every single person that joined. The values of Toastmasters are respect, integrity, and excellence. And these after-work sessions are meant to highlight these values. But at the same time, we are nothing without everyone joining. The success of this is really in part due to the audience. So I have to say thank you very, very much. And we look forward to seeing you at the next after-work session, which will be next week. Thank you again, everyone. And please, you are free to select the breakout sessions that you would like to join. I will hand over to the Zoom master. to take over that session. Thank you again.
Bonsoir. J'espère que vous retrouvez les salles puisque les salles ont été ouvertes. Mrs. Dara,
Arrêtons le streaming, s'il te plaît, arrête le streaming. Arrête le streaming. Master, je pense qu'il faudra continuer à donner les indications, hein. Il y a des personnes qui disent qu'ils ne voient pas les salles. Donc, c'est important pour nous
d'accord.
qu'ils voient les salles. Donc, il faudrait